Welcome back to some new malicious compliance stories, where people complied to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called Travel Policy. I used to fly a lot for work. Then the company I worked for was bought by another company with a much more restrictive, actually oppressive travel policy. We could only book coach class with the new company, and it couldn't be more than $100 over the cheapest airline serving a particular airport. With the new policy, I was pretty much forced to use Southwest, Spirit, Frontier and the likes. And this is now where MLB was standing out. After the big financial crash in 2008, there was only one airline left in MLB for many years, and that was Delta, which happened to be my favorite airline. So instead of a $600 ticket on Delta out of PBI, because there was a $400 on one of the cheap airlines, I followed the travel policy and booked a $1,400 coach ticket out of MLB. Our travel policy also did not allow us to book first class. When you travel on short notice, however, it is quite possible that there is discounted first class still available, while all the remaining coach seats are full fare. In other words, the first class ticket is cheaper than the coach ticket, so I would make sure I book my flight in compliance with the corporate travel policy, and then contact the airline to adjust my booking, turning that expensive coach seat into a first class seat, plus getting the difference in Delta dollars. Too bad our corporate policy required us to also book non-refundable fares. That is what happens when a grumpy bean counter creates a corporate travel policy. Later, they wanted us to only book through Amex travel service, so that Amex would enforce the policy. More than once, I heard comments like, "I've never seen such a stupid policy," and quite often, they would book a flight for me, overriding the no first class when first class was less expensive. Or they would recommend me to do exactly what I did in the past, booking the expensive in-policy flight, and then deal with the airline directly to make it better. The next story is called Day Off. This happened well over a year ago. As a unionized employee, I get every third Friday off. On my day off, I was playing some video games and got a text from the boss. "I know it's your day off, but whatever, it's easy to ignore." But then I get a second text, and after I ignored that, I got a call. "I know it's your day off, but our phones are down. No worries, I'll handle it." We hung up and I called our phone provider. I'm the IT and the contact there, and this isn't my first call ever to them, so I have their service department saved in my phone. I called, I registered the problem, and they say they'll look into it. I provide them with my boss's name and extension, and told them to call him when it's fixed. I then called my boss back and let him know that they'd call him as soon as possible. Our contract stipulates a minimum call-in of 4 hours, meaning that you cannot pay me less than 4 hours for a day, unless it's by my own choosing. If you call me in for an hour and send me home, I get 4 hours of pay. But wait, there's more. We also have an overtime clause that pays 150%. And lastly, we have a clause that says all overtime must be approved by the boss, or else it is one-on-one time off in lieu. Combine all this in one delightful batch, and you get a 10-minute call that results in 6 hours of bank time off. I went right back to my video games, filled out my timesheet the week after, and said, "I know it's your day off, but it's implied consent for overtime. The minimum call out of 4 hours at 150% is 6 hours. Almost an entire day off with pay in exchange for a 10-minute call? Thank you very much." The third story is called Doctor's Note. Many moons ago, I traveled for work, and as part of this travel, my role had me speaking at conferences and doing workshops. Part of the policy for this company required that at any corporate event, conferences held by the company, if we wanted to go, we had to share a room with a coworker. You could choose not to go, but if you went, you had to bunk up, unless you had a doctor's note. So I booked an appointment with my GP. When I explained the situation to him, he gladly wrote me a note. He has a medical condition, that would prevent him from sharing a room with anyone. This condition cannot be disclosed. That was the gist of it, although way more eloquent. That note stayed on file for the next 3 years that I worked there. Co-workers would always ask how I was able to have a room by myself, and I would look sad, point my face to the ground, shake my head slightly, and say I have a medical condition. Surprisingly, no one else bothered to get a note. The next story is called Saving 39 cents. When I travel for work, I can charge at most 8 hours, even if the travel day is longer. But if it's not an 8-hour travel day, I'm expected to log in and work up to 8. Additionally, the travel booking tool flags your ticket and notifies your manager if it deems your selected flight is not the cheapest reasonable option. I've never actually had a manager decline any of my choices, but the system was so dumb this time I invoked Malicious Compliance. Instead of a 2.75 hour non-stop home, the system told me I should take the lower cost one stop at a travel time of 5.75 hours with a savings of 39 cents. Instead of getting more work done, I got paid an extra 3 hours to watch some extra shows on my iPad and had an extra meal on the company travel allowance at the airport, which was around $30. The last story is called IT Budget. The budget process for next fiscal year just started at the company I work for. As usual, management is pushing us to not increase costs above inflation. So every department is trying to cut figures from their budget to make room for more stuff. IT decided to go malicious and told everyone that they would only budget software licenses that were used by more than one department in the company. Otherwise, each department had to take care of its own licensing costs. That kind of makes sense, right? But the thing is, while IT would still pay for Microsoft 365 licenses and the like, the really expensive apps are usually specialty stuff. So IT just got congratulated on their budget reductions, and all other departments were left hanging out to dry. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.